Okay, hi. Happy Friday. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fat Mascara. So today's episode is a bit of a listener request. Actually, multiple listeners requested. Sierra, Kylie, I think your name was, Rachel, whoever else DM'd me or emailed us as requested. We're diving into the world of permanent makeup today. And we have permanent makeup artist Christine Hwang, better known here in New York City as New Face by Christine, which is also her Instagram handle if you want to check her out. So a lot of you had been DMing me and asking about lip blushing, which is the permanent makeup technique for lips. And then, of course, so much has happened in brows since microblading took off in the United States a little over 10 years ago. So Christine specializes in both brows and lips. She also does eyeliner. We'll talk about that. But she doesn't call her work like microbladed brows or just lip blush lips. And she'll explain why that is. So we'll be talking about those treatments and just the general differences between tattooing and permanent makeup from like 20 or 30 years ago when it was very different. It's definitely an educational episode, a good primer if you've been considering these services. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, let's welcome Christine to the Fat Mascara studio. Okay, Christine, welcome to Fat Mascara. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. First of all, I've been hearing about you, I want to say over maybe a year and a half, like whispers around from different people about you are the permanent makeup artist to go to in New York City. But every time I look you up, it comes up as New Face Christine. And I just have to ask, how did this become your brand name?
I was struggling so hard. I mean, I started my business in 2016, so that's about 8 years ago. And I didn't want to sound cliche or too simple and I was honestly, it was just like, okay, new face. I'm going to give you a new face, make you gorgeous, make you feel good. And I feel like just something new and shiny, new face, just something I came up with literally last minute. But I stuck to it. I haven't changed it since.
Do people call you New Face Christine? Like if you ever see a client, like, hi, is New Face Christine there?
They contact me like, hey, New Face. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with that.
That's what I mean. Like that's how people talk about you. Even when I heard your name, they're like, oh, you have to see New Face Christine. I was like, and her name is what? And so it's Christine Hwang. So people know from now on. But yeah, you have quite a reputation. Tell me, what's your background in cosmetology? How did you even get into all of this?
So it's not cosmetology, actually.
Tell me.
My license is a tattoo artist license given by the New York Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And it is very different from cosmetology and an aesthetics license. In New York State, we're required to have a tattoo artist license to practice any form of permanent makeup. So permanent makeup being microblading, micropigmentation, lip blush, eyeliner, tattoo, all of that stuff.
So did you not have any interest in beauty and cosmetology? Like you wanted to be a tattoo artist? Tell me, like,
I know, it's
connect
so funny.
These dots.
I tell people, oh, I'm a tattoo artist. And they're thinking hardcore tattoos, like body art, and they're looking at me. They're like, oh, you're such a sweet little girl. Like you're a tattoo artist. You don't even look like you have tattoos. But yeah, technically a tattoo artist. I have always been, I guess, naturally interested in beauty, but beauty in terms of like cosmetics, maybe some plastic surgery. Like I'm personally into that. But in terms of beauty as a profession, that didn't come up until later in life. So I studied political science and marketing in school, and I was working in marketing when I first moved to New York. And I was thinking like, oh, I'm not really sure I'm cut out for the corporate world. Like I'm an Aries, I'm outspoken. You know what I mean? It's hard to be managed. And I also had dreams of managing. And I was like, I think I would love to work in a private space just for myself. And I love beauty, but I don't want to be a plastic surgeon. That's too much school. And I am not really interested in doing facials and stuff. And then I stumbled across an article in, I think it was Vogue or W Mag or something like that, speaking about microblading. And I read that article and I was like, oh my gosh, I've always been into beauty. And now they're making permanent makeup more natural, right? So I'm like, this is going to be something new. I just felt it in my bones, in my blood. I was like really excited about it. So I'm a little bit crazy and I'm a very all or nothing person. I literally was like, quit my job, start learning right away, barely have any safety net or whatever, but I didn't care. And that I kind of just like head first jumped into it.
I mean, do you have tattoos other than face, like makeup tattoos, which we'll get into, and that's not even the vocabulary for it. Do you have tattoos elsewhere? Like, did you go work at a tattoo shop?
That's my secret. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any body tattoos. I admire them. I think they're beautiful. And I would consider one. It's just, I don't want to regret it.
Okay, so when you said I'm going to be a tattoo, it was with the goal of I'm going to be a permanent makeup artist, and I know this is the license I have to have.
Exactly. And trust me, I've always felt strange about calling myself a tattoo artist because I feel like this is more adjacent to like almost not plastic surgery, but adjacent to injectables,
like
adjacent
an
to like
injector.
esthetician sort of, but not. Yeah, something like that. So it's funny that I am a tattoo artist technically.
But just so people know, and correct me if I'm wrong, like in other states, there's different regulations and licensing for cosmetic tattooing. You might also need a cosmetology license, or you might not need a tattooing license, depending on where you live and who you go to, right?
Yeah, so that has been the strangest thing to me always. New York is so lax about the rules. And in other states, I have friends in my industry who work in like Texas and California and Seattle and and Canada. All those places have such different regulations. So I know, well, nearby, right? Connecticut, they have such stringent rules. Like you need to be an apprentice or something for like years and years before you're able to operate your own shop front. But in New York, literally, you just study a little packet of paper and take an exam that's a written exam. You haven't even touched a single person with a needle. You don't know how to tattoo or hold a machine, and you have your license. So that's kind of how it works in New York. I know I'm cringing.
Everybody who's listening is like having a heart attack. This is why we're having Christine on. She's been doing this 8 years. She actually knows what she's doing, but it is possible in New York. You could go somewhere and they just started practicing, right?
They just started practicing, or maybe they have the wrong idea that you could be a cosmetologist or an esthetician. And I'm not even joking. I will not name a beauty school who promotes this, but I have made phone calls and some esthetician schools have said microblading legally falls under esthetician license, which is false. If you ask the New York Department of Health, they will say that it's a tattoo license because anytime you deposit ink or pigment under the skin and it's permanent or semi-permanent or whatever, it's considered a tattoo and the correct license is a tattoo artist. It boggles my mind, though, that other states do allow estheticians or cosmetologists to do permanent makeup without a different license.
Without ever picking up a tattoo machine.
Well, that's in New York, too. Yeah, so I think that's insane. I do like that it's bloodborne pathogen and infection control focused because obviously that's at the heart of it. You want to practice safely. And you don't want to injure anyone just on a health and medical level. But I do wonder, though, how they can make it a little bit more strict or how they can kind of control for quality. So it's not like we can get an accreditation like board certified for plastic surgery, medical board. There's no board or accreditation or academy system that regulates permanent makeup artists. So that's really why we're the wild, wild west. I don't understand. I don't know if it's going to evolve later, but there is a state that has that. In my opinion, I don't really think it works right now as it stands, but hopefully it does improve just for peace of mind for the consumer.
Yeah, different states have gone different ways with this because I think all the regulators are like all this technology came up so quickly without them being able to even realize like they don't know the latest in beauty technology to know what they need to regulate. So you really have to do your homework. We'll get into like how to find a good artist, but I do want to like back up a little for people who are like, wait, why is she a tattoo artist, but she's doing lip blushing? Like, let's talk about like your specialty is, do you call it permanent makeup?
I call it permanent makeup. Nothing is ever truly solidly permanent. Even body tattoos need touch-ups and your body breaks down the pigment over time and it fades.
Yeah. How do you define permanent makeup? I used a tattoo machine to put pigment into someone's skin. At what layer of the skin? Like, what's the way you talk about it?
I do call it permanent makeup, and a lot of people in my industry call it semi-permanent makeup. I just think it's important to just educate people in general what it means, but honestly, they're used interchangeably. So for our purposes, let's call it permanent makeup. It just means all the techniques we know and love, the brows, the eyeliner, the lips, the face, right? That kind of replaces the look of makeup. That's why we call it permanent makeup. So when you wash your face, you still have color in those areas where you would normally apply the makeup. That's the purpose of permanent makeup.
Yeah. It's funny you said 2016 is when you got started. I think that's the first time I wrote about microblading. And I remember writing a whole article about like, this is not that scary looking. Is it something about Mary? There's some movie where the woman has fake permanent eyeliner from like the 90s. Like it would turn blue or they'd have blue eyebrows, like the old school permanent makeup. The industry has evolved so much in the last 10 years, right?
Yes, and that's the only reason I got into it, because I would never even touch a machine or needle if we weren't able to achieve these phenomenal natural looking results. And it keeps improving day to day. There's a big difference in terms of machines, needles, colors that we use that differ from body inks. So in my industry, we call colors in permanent makeup pigments, and we call body colors inks. So
Okay,
that's
good
one of the
vocab lesson.
differentiators. Yeah. But I actually am one of the artists who don't necessarily believe we should only use permanent makeup pigments. I also use sometimes inks for the face. It's all about choosing the correct color and knowing that those colors are safe when used on the face and that they heal beautifully. That's the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, chemically and just how they're made, it's quite similar. Just the pigments are a little bit softer, a little more watery than body tattoo inks typically to make it
And
more
do you
natural.
also not go as deep into the dermis as a body ink tattoo artist would?
Oh my God, I can get really technical with this. I don't want to like bog down
Let's
the
not go
listeners.
millimeters, but just give me like, how is it different? Because I have tattoos on my body that have been there 10 years and they're still dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so to put it really simply, we have to hit the dermis, the dermal layer. We have to go deeper than just the epidermis in order for it to stay in the skin and not just fade away, heal and peel
Right. Because our
away.
epidermis exfoliates off. That's our like,
Exactly. But I think the issue with microblading is that you can't go much deeper than the epidermis for risk of scarring. And if you stay so shallow in the epidermis,
you're
then
going to the
it,
junction. You're just like, just deeper than, is that what it is? Like just deeper than that surface level.
right. But we are not studying the anatomy under a microscope. We can't see the layers of your skin at that microscopic of a level. So
Yeah.
it's not a perfect science, or there's a lot of risk there to go slightly too deep or too shallow. And that's why a lot of people have started complaining, hey, microblading doesn't last as long. So even though microblading was the hot trend of 2016 and it blew up, and that's kind of what exploded permanent makeup in general in the United States, I feel like we do live in the dermis. That's a better way to just summarize everything. We should be hitting the dermis.
But depending on the artist you go to, depending on how deep they go or the pigments they use, results are going to really vary, is what I kind of hear you saying.
Yes, I'm not a hater on microblading because, I used to do it, and there's a very small percentage of my clientele where I still do microblading, but it's not suitable for most skin types.
Yeah, you call it powder brows, right?
Yeah, there are different names.
Let's do brow. I was going to do lips first, but let's talk brows because you still do brows, but you're
Started
just
from
not.
brows. Yeah,
Yeah,
started from
what's the
brows.
technique you're using that's making it look more natural?
So I always say natural is subjective. Natural is blending in, blending it into the hairs, right? Some people prefer a bolder look. Most people prefer more natural. I call it powder brows, soft shading, or ombre brows. So they're all sort of like similar. And I say ombre brows when I really want to hammer in the fact that I keep the fronts of the brows really soft and light. And then there's like a gradation in color. So it gets a little bit darker as you get to the middle and the tail of the brow. Powder brows more so indicates full color, and the softer part of the front of the brow is less space than the ombre, which is more of like the ombre or gradiated
Okay.
effect.
And you're talking about like the effects, but in general, it is sort of the same technique as microblading.
So microblading is done with a hand tool. It's literally a micro small blade, and you make tiny little, I hate saying the word, but little cuts, nicks into the skin to resemble hair. So you're literally like carving tiny little nano strokes and then depositing ink manually on top of that. What I prefer for most skin types, just to be safe, is machine method, where the needles sort of pixelate and deposit ink in little tiny dots. And it adds like a shadow behind your hair.
So the only breaking of the skin is the slight needle going in, not like a slicing motion, which sounds gross, but like just so we're all clear here. But that is the difference, right?
Yeah, it's literally either like a little tiny tear into the skin and pouring ink on top of it versus the needle keeping your skin intact and just poking little dots with a motor, many, many dots at the same time, and creating a shadow or shading effect.
I imagine this also helps with people who might have had scarring from the previous technique. This technique would not cause that type of scarring.
Correct. So most corrections, if not all corrections, are done in this style, in powder brows. It's almost impossible to correct microblading with more microblading. I would either suggest removal or powder brows if it's not such a devastating result.
Yeah. So powder brows, what percentage of your practice would you say you're doing brows these days?
Oh my gosh, it's pretty 50-50 with brows and lips. And I would say 90% of my clients are powder ombre shading by machine.
Which, in case someone's like really has no idea what we're talking about, how long would it take to do someone's brows like that? And how long would their new colored brow last? That sounded weird, colored brow. That's not a thing we want. Their new, naturally softly powdered,
tattooed brows.
Darkened. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a tint. Tint is a different thing. That's estheticians. That's like dyeing the skin to make it look like darker brows. So I typically take about 2 hours per appointment from consultation to finish. I take a lot of time drawing, and this is a huge thing I'm going to stress later when we talk about how to find a good artist. I don't care how long it takes to draw the perfect shape. I allot enough time so that I could really take my time to measure, to do the pre-draw and get your approval. That's the most important part of this entire thing. And it used to take me like 4 hours to do one person. But with enough experience over the years, I've gotten it down to like 2 hours. But it's really tedious. That part is really time consuming. Every single face is so different. And that's the hard part, but also the beauty in it, right? It never gets boring because I'm working on different skin tones, different faces all the time. But you have to be really mindful because everyone is unique and you want to preserve that. You want to respect their individuality and you want to give them what they want, but also give them a little bit of advice on what suits their face. So it's a lot of balancing.
I saw some of your Instagrams. You're like, this is the result the client asked for. And it seems like you're really clear about, I'm not here to put Christine's brows on everybody. I'm here to give you what you want.
I see a lot of cookie cutter brows, and that's okay. If that's the artist style, like go for it. Some people want that brow. They want that signature brow. They know who to go to. Can I do that brow? Absolutely. But can I also give them a shape that maybe they're used to drawing in every day that I'm not really a fan of? Yes, I can do that. I do have a few things that I always have to adhere to. One of them being it has to fit the face, even though it's a little bit unusual of a shape. It has to contain most of their brow hair. So I cannot shave off a big chunk of ignore a big chunk of their hair and then draw another second brow above or below it. So I consider that to be unethical just by design. The maintenance will be horrible and it's just really not good for that person.
Even if with makeup, that's how they do their brows, you're like, it's just, let's not go there.
Let's not go there because what if 10, 20, 30 years down the line, they want a brow lift or facelift or they get Botox and I draw their brows a certain way, but then they lift the skin and then it gets all insane, right?
Yeah.
So it's better. I don't want their eyebrows to start flying because they got a facelift. It's like I want it to stay on where the brow hair is. At least that's how they were.
Which is usually where aligned with your bone. You did say 10 years though, but so you spend your time and do this and I'm sure you need touch-ups, but like you're not expecting that powdered brow effect or ombre brow or the makeup to last 10 years, are you?
So I don't expect it. However, the ink molecules or pigment molecules can stay in the skin for quite a while. I just tell people it lasts probably 2 to 5 years on average. However, there are ink molecules that can last longer. It can look like almost all of it disappeared, but you have trace color, like little dots of color here and there, maybe even up to 10 years. So being completely honest with you, how likely is it for it to completely go away and look like how you were born without any pigment? Probably by year 3, 4, 5, it'll look almost completely faded. But you should anticipate that it could be some of the ink can be permanent. Like you shouldn't be expecting it to completely fade, if that makes sense. But fade enough to where like you can't even notice. That's more likely.
And talk to me about color shift while we're still talking about brows, because I think there were people that 8 years ago got microbladed. Certain pigment molecules might have faded, but then like the blue or the orange stuck around. And
oh my gosh. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm traumatized just from me with my eyes seeing that, right? Like, I feel bad for the person, like whether it's my mom's friends or my grandmother's friends, older generations who have gotten that. I feel like they've been victimized by a technique that was far from perfected. And it just, because they were using body tattoo inks that are highly carbon based colors will always last longer, and they do change over time to the unpleasant colors that we see. And that's just because every single color has other colors that make up that color without getting, I'm not a chemist, so I'm not going to like break it down for you, but the manufacturing of colors, it's really, I'm sure, challenging. And our skin wants to metabolize the color over time. So the way they make it exactly, I would have to ask a chemist, but it does break down, and your skin tone, your undertone, what that ink is made out of, if it's carbon or if it's mineral based, that can shift
like
the
the
color.
iron might last a little longer than the titanium color, and like just you get a different color with body ink. I mean, I have black tattoos that look blue now,
Yeah, so that's what kind of happens with carbon-based inks. A lot of the darker colors are carbon, and they do fade blue and green, but we account for that. We try to prevent that by adding modifiers and warm tones mixed in so that it doesn't happen. And I will say that people who get into permanent makeup should anticipate getting touch-ups to maintain the look. But I did want to emphasize that it's never going to be as bad as it used to be. It's going to be more grayish. It's not going to be like the stark blue or green ever, because a lot of the pigments they sell now are modified.
I see. Okay. So we talked a lot about brows, but actually how you first came into my knowledge was somebody who got lip blushing. And now do you call it lip blushing, or what do you call permanent, semi or permanent makeup that's put into your lips, the pigment in your lips? Neutralization?
The hot term was lip blush, so I used it for marketing purposes. However, they're just lip tattoos. So lip blush I would refer to more so for my lighter skin tones, and neutralizations are for anyone with melanated lips. So if there's any sort of brown pigments, dark beige even, or like a bluish, grayish, or purplish undertone, I refer to it as neutralization. I have another term I use called velvet lip tattoos, and velvet lips is sort of mimicking lipstick. It's a more opaque, more saturated look versus a lip blush, which is meant to be softer, a little bit more translucent versus very opaque. So it just refers to the overall look.
But you're getting a lip tattoo, and it's based on what the client wants. So someone could come in and could have like hypopigmentation and a white spot they want filled, while another person's like, I want to look like I have pink lip balm on all day long.
Exactly.
Is that the kind of conversations you have with clients?
So I need to see a picture of their lips to determine whether it's a standard lip tattoo or whether I need to do neutralization. The first thing I always do is rule out, can I use kind of whatever color they want, or do I have to neutralize? And neutralize meaning I have to be careful what colors I use, because certain reds, purples, blue pinks, berry tones, mauves, browns can make the lips really, really dark and heal very, very wrong. So neutralization is meant for, I would say, most people of color or mixed race. And whenever there is brown or melanin present, I can't ignore it. Even if their lips are pale, but they have a little bit of melanin, I still have to kind of be careful when I mix my colors, just to respect their skin type and to make sure that it heals properly. Oftentimes, maybe there's a client who is pale skinned, but they have brown lips and they want a certain type of berry tone that doesn't suit their face. If I gave them exactly what they wanted, it can literally heal dark brown. It can literally heal black sometimes.
Because you know how it's interacting with the melanin pigment that's already existing in their skin.
Oh, exactly. So, I mean, crazy stuff has happened where I get a client who was botched and she went to an artist maybe who doesn't really know color theory that well or doesn't know that you have to respect different skin tones and choose colors based on skin tone. And they just came in with like literally black streaks all over their lips or purple, like dark purple, not even like a cute purple. And they're just like, I don't know what happened. Like I asked for pink and I got this. And I was like, girl, I know what happened. Just the wrong ink, the wrong colors were used in your skin type. So that's why they healed like this.
Yeah. So do you do a lot, like a color correction, I'll call it, of other artists, or is that not what you like to do?
I love doing corrections, even brow corrections and lip corrections. A lot of artists hate doing it and won't accept it, but I actually love doing it because I feel like they're so heartbroken over the result that they got that if I can sort of fix that as much as possible and even give them like anywhere from like a 50 to 80% improvement, then they're just so thankful and so happy. And it's hard work and it's something that you do only with a lot of experience. So definitely amateur or new artists should never attempt a really difficult correction. But over time, I grew to love it because I even get like 100% satisfaction, even after a complicated correction. So for me, it's worth it. With the disclaimer of you may have to come in multiple times. It may not totally heal to how you like it because somebody else did them first and I'm just trying to fix it here. It does heal them emotionally. So that's kind of the part that brings me joy when I work on cases like that. So yes, I do love to correct. However, I don't like using the term correction when it comes to neutralization. I know it used to be a popular way of phrasing dark lips correction.
Oh, meaning they never had permanent makeup, but just their natural person needs correcting.
Exactly. So I don't
like that either.
That implies, right? So that was the terminology for neutralization. It was originally popularized with the term dark lips correction. And I feel like that can be hurtful to people because that means their dark lips, something's wrong. And that's absolutely not true. There are girls who look beautiful with dark lips, two-tone lips. There's absolutely nothing wrong with whatever they have, two-toned, dark, even purple, whatever, it doesn't matter. So neutralization is just a better term just because it's actually more about correcting the purple or blue tones in their lip.
And this is only if they want it. Clearly, there's plenty of people with like a bluish lip that are like totally fine with it, or plenty of people with pale lips that are like, I never need lip blushing.
But there are Caucasian women who have blue lips technically because they have thin skin and a lot of veins showing. So that makes their lips look blue. And I get a lot of cases like that. So I would consider that a form of neutralization because I have to use the unpleasant word correct the blue tone, right? To make it look warmer. So I would say most people, the color that's more flattering, the colors that are more flattering are warmer tones just because it makes you look glowy. It makes you look like there's more life to them. People ask me for like a flushed lip. So they look like they have a lot of blood flow. So that definitely points to like warmer tones versus like a cooler tone, which can make somebody look a little bit more harsh, a little bit more cold. We want to look warm and glowy. That's the point here.
Do you ask clients to bring a picture of what they want their lips to look like and then let you do the color theory and the thinking through of like how to do it?
Yes. So I love a lip goal photo. I want to see goals, right? And I ask people to bring a few photos if they can, or even like a picture of them with their favorite makeup. They can bring their lipstick, whatever photo. It doesn't even have to be like a lip tattoo photo. It could be just like a model that they saw or their friends.
Or themselves with like an AI filter or glamour filter.
Oh yeah, I don't care because I'm just looking at the
No
color.
judgment. No judgment from Christine.
I'm like, whatever, I just want to see the color. So I look at the color and the strategy or the path to that color depends on their skin, the starting point. So I have to analyze undertone, skin tone, right? And how do I achieve this color with the skin that they have? And 5 different girls can show me the exact same color, and I have to do a different formula for every single girl just because of their skin tone. If I just mix the same exact color and tattoo the same color on all 5 girls, it's going to heal differently because they're starting with a different canvas.
This makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about people who, as you get older, like that edge, that vermilion edge kind of disappears. We had Jane Fonda on our podcast. She says the lip line turns into like a gravelly path. She's like, it used to be a smooth road. Do you do any work where using color and pigment, you can put back the edge of the lip?
Oh, for sure. That's a really fun thing for me to do. Like, I love doing that, restoring a shape, definition. And it's not just older women or older people who have a loss in definition. Even younger people do. Sometimes they're just born with not a lot of color and it doesn't look defined at all, no matter what their age is.
So your finished request look could be, I don't even want to look like I have color on. I just want to have the edge of my lip more defined. And that could be somebody's request.
That could be somebody's request. I do recommend, though, doing a full lip blush just for the sake of evenness and making it better blended. I don't recommend a lip liner tattoo, personally. I just personally wouldn't, because there's already a difficulty in making everything heal super well blended. So can you imagine doing a lip liner and it heals all raggedy and uneven?
It's going to look different from the center of your lips, I guess.
Yeah, maybe what happens if like the sides are really dark and then the center is not? Or the center takes a lot and the sides don't take a lot, because you're playing around on the edge of the face, and then the face skin and lip skin are two different types of skin.
And so you want that wash that's across the whole lip so you have a uniform look, whatever. Got it.
And then it ultimately does create a more defined look. Whatever Jane Fonda is looking for, I would love to work on her. By the way, that'd be like incredible. Star on my resume. She's looking for what I refer to in my office as restorative lip blush. So restorative being...
I knew you were going to have a name for it. It's clear to me you used to be in marketing, because you've given, like, the way you've named things is actually quite helpful. And I think that's part of the confusion about this whole treatment area in cosmetics, because different artists use different names, and it's not like, okay, that's eyeshadow. It's not simple like that, you know?
I'm just trying to be as descriptive as possible. Just like you said, people need to know because it gets so confusing. So I don't want to overwhelm anybody. So the restorative lip blush, lip tattoo, is for women who are getting older, or actually anyone. I work on males as well. So anyone getting older who suffer from their borders losing definition, color lacking, their collagen is diminishing, and they just feel like their lips are deflating, and it's really sad, and they want to do something about it. So part of that is youthful glow, add some color, add some definition, restore the shape, and that just makes them ultimately look more youthful. Now, the only issues with that are if they have really, really, really deep wrinkles already set going into their lip. If they have really deep lip wrinkles all around, that can cause a little bit of like spotty tattooing along the wrinkles. So what I advise in that case is to get a little bit of lip filler, just a little. And I know people are scared to death of lip filler. Don't be. Go to somebody really good. Go to someone who has a lot of photos and good reviews and who's licensed properly to do it. Get that little tiny bit of filler, maybe like half a vial or like one syringe, depending on your lip size to begin with. Once that plumpness or that little collagen effect is restored and it smooths out the wrinkles a little bit, then I can tattoo over that. It makes it easier.
It's like tattooing like a balloon with no air versus a balloon with air. Like you need the firmness to be able to get your lines straight. I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's so dehydrated, the wrinkled areas. It's kind of like fighting cracked earth, right? Like we don't want to go, we want to hydrate.
Yes.
I may be good, but that's just anatomy. Like it's hard to fight that. I want it hydrated. I want it a little bit smoother and then more success.
I feel like you do a lot of managing expectations. Am I right?
Oh my gosh, of course. I've been in this for 8 years.
Yeah. You did mention, though, things you can't do in correcting other people's work. Can we talk about some of the horror shows I've seen on TikTok? Like when someone has something go wrong, let's spin it positive. How do we find an artist like you who is not going to let that happen? What are some things to look for to like get an artist who knows how to do everything that you've just been telling us about?
The biggest thing for me is photos of their work, and a lot of them. I think a good artist, their biggest asset is their portfolio. And not a lot of photos that look disjointed or it looks like they just could have gotten that from anywhere, because I see a lot of that. You want photos that kind of showcase their techniques and have sort of like a harmony to them that looks like their work, if that makes sense. If some of it looks like AI, some of it looks like different techniques and styles.
Or the lighting's crazy different in everyone, like they're not in the same studio taking the photo.
Yeah, exactly. Or it just like, they look like they have 5 different phones in 5 different geographic locations taking the photos. You know,
then you're probably looking at stock photo.
Exactly. Or just maybe they are stealing photos. A lot of artists have stolen my photos and used them.
Oh, that would make me so mad.
Yeah. And with the technology now, you know, they even remove your watermark. They remove all of your signature and they can just edit it in a way to make it seem like theirs. So I would say not only photos though. So I would say descriptions on their website, the way they speak to you, if they're really, really thorough, if they have at least a few years experience, or, you know, if they are just starting, if they have photos of their models that they worked on that are really consistently beautiful. Just all of those things are really important. They have a legitimate office. They're not working out of their apartment. That's illegal to work out of the apartment where you live. You need a designated space for tattooing and you need a tattoo license. So of course, like the obvious things would be like basics, license, office space, but then photos, descriptions, and reviews if they have them.
Let's talk about photos for a second. I notice this a lot, that people showcase their work right after it's done and not the healed look. And we didn't talk about this, but I know when you just do someone's brow or just do someone's lips, they look way different than once it's healed. How long does it take, first of all, to settle into the healed look? And why are a lot of artists showing us the right after, not the completely healed look?
You want to be transparent with the entire process, right? So you want everyone to know how it looks from start to finish. It's fun to kind of see how it looks right after, and then really cool to see how it looks healed. So that's the recommendation I have for new artists, is try to get the whole process before, right after, and healed. And that's kind of fun to see. That's giving the consumer as much information as possible so they know kind of what to anticipate. I think those photos are mostly aimed for educational purposes. At least for me, I like to educate my consumer. I also need content for Instagram and TikTok. So, you know, it's interesting to put it out there.
Oh, because maybe the person couldn't come back for a final photo. At least you're showing the like process photo and getting, okay.
I think it's even informative for people to show the pre-draw, right? That's the intended look. That's kind of the goal of the tattoo, the shaping part of it. That kind of shows the artist's skill as well, even if it's not the final product. So those things I think are important to just show everyone. And the final healed result is different depending on what you do. So typically I would say at least 2 to 4 weeks for brows and lips. However, neutralizations, they do not show the final result for 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Because it's a different type of skin, different technique, and we're looking for a change in color versus the canvas is already light enough to where whatever color you put on there, it's going to pretty much show after like 2 or 3 weeks. So the first week is like healing. It looks dark. It looks a little bit crazy. You're going to scare people.
I didn't want to say it, but you said it. Sometimes I'm like, oh.
I know. And I do that to people. You know why? Because I want beautiful results. And sometimes that requires many layers of tattooing. Many layers of tattooing means inflammation.
Okay.
Swelling. Yeah. And it looks super, super red because of all that blood circulation from the physical tattooing. And then it just looks crazy, especially to people who have no idea what's going on.
So you're doing like pointillism. So you might actually be causing a little bit more inflammation than another artist for a subtler effect. So it's going to look crazier in the meantime, but at the very end, it's going to be subtler because of your technique.
Right. But you don't microblade the lips. At least, I mean, I guess some people do actually, but that always like blew my mind people microblade the lips.
No, you're using the like the tattoo machine with the needle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It isn't damaging because I stop before it would be damaging, right? So like I don't want to ever injure the skin, but of course it's almost like getting a massage with needles. So like what do you expect, right? It has to, your skin is going to react. And especially like I have sensitive skin, so I look insane when I touch up my brows or my lips. I mean, I swell, I bleed easily. It's just my skin type and it's okay. Some people are more sensitive.
What if someone goes and they did everything you said, they found an artist in their area that they liked, and they come out and they're just like, what have I done? What should they do? Do they wait?
So, okay, that's if they're literally crying and freaked out so bad that they cannot live another day or go on another day, another hour with what they did to themselves, and they want to remove it, and they know 100% that it looks ugly no matter what, even if it fades a little bit, because it does fade, right? It shrinks because the swelling goes down. It fades anywhere from 20 to 40%, and it's going to look softer all around. So if you, knowing that, you still hate it and you still are questioning your decisions, then you need to look up emergency removal. So that's something that I offer for anyone who has made a huge mistake and hate their freshly tattooed whatever. Within 24 to 48 hours, I'm able to offer emergency removal. So that's an option, because removing a tattoo that's already healed in the skin is a lot harder than an emergency removal, where I can actually take off like anywhere from like 50 to 80 or 90% of the tattoo.
Is that because the skin hasn't healed yet? So you could get in there with some like an acid or whatever and a neutralizer and take out the pigment?
Oh yeah. I get in there with a little bit of heat and the right product, and it coaxes the disaster out, and you can see it right away, basically, that it's almost faded.
Do you think everybody that you do that work on actually needed it done? Or is it they're just mentally freaking out?
Oh, that's hairy.
Do you know what I mean, though? Like someone comes in and you're like, I think this probably would heal nice, but I don't want to tell them that because it's their decision. You don't want to be on the line for saying the wrong thing.
Yeah, I am hesitant to critique another artist because I don't know what the intention was. And I don't know how the person looked before, right? So I don't know how their thought process led to where they are now. And perhaps they would heal to an acceptable result. But then the question is it acceptable to the person, right? So I have a few times seen girls crying to me saying they got botched, but I didn't think it was that bad. But I've also had girls who've come in and I'm like, oh my Lord, this is an emergency. You need to call the brow police because this is like, are they licensed? What is happening? I just feel so bad for them. And I would say that's highly subjective. And it's ultimately whatever the person feels. Not to be a salesperson or whatever, I think that most people benefit from permanent makeup. And I do think it does make people prettier. So I'm an advocate for permanent makeup, but I wouldn't ever tell someone they need it, right? Because that's subjective. That's a very personal thing. Whatever their idea of beauty is, that's personal.
Yeah, but are you walking around New York like looking at faces all the time and just like, oh, if I could just get my hands on those brows, or like,
oh, for sure.
You are.
I mean, like for sure. Like if you ever meet me, that's for sure going through my mind. I'm like, oh, I would do her brows like this, or like, oh, I think this would look good on her lips. Like, should I tell her? Is that rude? You know?
Yeah. No, I'm just curious what it's like to be you, because I feel like it's like a little superpower, and I'd be sitting on the subway like looking at people's faces, just being like, oh, that right tail, I could just align that and da-da-da.
Yeah, like a little PMU fairy, like ding, ding, like fixing
yes.
fixing brows and lips in my mind. Like, oh, should I give them my card?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know, that could backfire, but.
Yeah, so I never do that. Sometimes I wish, though, I'm like, oh my God, she has beautiful lips. Like, please, like I want to tattoo them. That crosses my mind. Yeah.
Well, you're such an advocate. What have you yourself gotten done? You said you had your brows. Did you do your own brows? Can you even do that?
I did my own brows, yes.
Christine.
I know. I have my whole face tattooed. I have done my brows, my eyeliner, and my lips. And I have been doing my brows probably for like 12 years. So I'm 33. I've been doing brows like basically as soon as I could, because you're not legally allowed to get any kind of tattoo under 18. And in New York, you can't even get it with parental consent. So any really, really young girls listening, I'm not going to tattoo you. I don't care if your parents sign off on it. It's still illegal in New York. But yeah, so as soon as I could, I literally bolted for the nearest person and I was like, I need my brows tattooed. I'm one of those Korean, Asian girls who literally have no eyebrows. Actually, I do have eyebrows, but they're very thin. And I've been getting them done since 12 years ago.
And now you do them yourself?
Yeah, I've been getting like a touch-up every year or every 2 years.
But I mean on yourself. You say getting a touch-up.
Recently, I have been working on myself. So within the past few years, I have done it myself because I am so OCD about the shaping of my brows. I'm really picky about color. My skin does not heal well compared to a lot of people. I'm really oily, so I often have to go in multiple times. It's just easier for me to do it. Is it extremely difficult and scary at first? Yes. Am I crazy? Probably, but I love doing them. I love when they're done, so I have to do them.
Who does your lips then? Someone you've trained?
No. So the first 2 times I went to a girl in Brooklyn. Her name is Saki. Saki Lee. She tattooed my lips. She has beautiful work as well. She's in Brooklyn. And after that, I've been doing like a little bit. I'm like really scared to go all in on my lips though. So I'm going to just get it tattooed again because I can't do my eyeliner either. I mean, that's insane.
Oh, that was impossible.
That's impossible. Like
And did Saki do your eyeliner?
No. I got my eyeliner done. I don't even remember her. She's in Long Beach, California.
Oh, okay.
But she's an amazing Vietnamese artist out in Long Beach.
Okay. Now I'm curious though about your other beauty stuff because like you know your stuff. Who do you go to for skincare? Who do you go for your hair? This is just like the personal let's get to know Christine part of the podcast before we let you go.
Oh my gosh. So do I want to gatekeep?
You're allowed, I guess. I'll allow it.
No, okay. So I am crazy for this laser called LaserMD Ultra. And it's done by my favorite person ever, Aisha at Glow Spa. So she's in the financial district. LaserMD Ultra is a skin resurfacing laser. She can do it very softly or a little bit deeper, but it has literally reduced my hyperpigmentation. I used to have a lot of ugly freckling around my eyes, and it has reduced it like crazy. So
let's reframe. You had freckling around your eyes that you didn't like.
Not the cute kind. It was more like melasma.
Wasn't ugly. You're not ugly, but like, yes, I just always, whenever anybody's like, here's the thing that I wanted to change, I always want to be like, there was preference, not because you needed to.
It was melasma because I neglected my skin growing up. So lack of sunscreen means sun damage.
You got some hyperpigmentation.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that sun damage was greatly reduced by the LaserMD Ultra. That was an incredible laser. So I will be doing that probably 2 or 3 times a year, every year. It's also great for like pores, fine lines and wrinkles, texture. Like it's literally good for everything. So that like I highly, highly recommend that. I would alternatively recommend everyone fly to South Korea right now and get like 10 different lasers because they have these clinics where they layer laser upon laser, radio frequency, ultrasound. They have like skin booster injections. All of that craziness in Korea is
that
like
we'll have in 10 years. They already have it. Yeah.
I know. I mean, like they've been doing microblading and lip blush for like years already before it started. People even knew about it here. So like they're definitely a little bit ahead of the game in the beauty field. But other than that, New York City, Manhattan, I would go to her. I also am in love with the facials by Anne. She's the lead esthetician at Pretty Please. So she gives the best facials, gentle on the skin, amazing face massage. They use organic Hungarian skincare products. That's definitely my favorite facial in New York.
That sounds good. Now, what about product? Like, what's your skincare routine, makeup routine?
I use a lot of K-beauty. So I use Beauty by Joseon, the rice water and arbutin serum for pigmentation. I use the Skin 1004 Centella serum and cream night and day. And I use the Beauty of Joseon, which is like, I think it's like TikTok viral right now. It's their sunscreen, SPF 50.
Their sunscreen is
oh my God,
the greatest sunscreen of all time. End of story.
It is the greatest. I don't break out. It's not oily. It doesn't leave a white cast. It's amazing. Chef's kiss.
It's the Beauty of Joseon.
But I also like Eminence. Eminence is the Hungarian organic line. I like
Eminence Organics. Yeah.
Yes. I love them.
What do you like from them? They're they're cleansing. No, that's Elemis. What's Eminence? It smells really good and natural, like essential oils. I like that.
Yeah. No, Eminence is it just smells so clean and so fresh. I use their moisturizers. I love their toners and face masks as well. They have like this green face mask that's really amazing. But it's very concentrated, so you have to dilute it with a little bit of water.
What is this green face mask from Eminence Organics? I need to get in on that. That sounds fun.
Yes, it's amazing.
I always ask people mascara, but do you wear mascara?
No. So, okay, I'm promoting people here because I love them. I get lash extensions by Hattie. She's in downtown Manhattan in Chinatown, like Lower East Side, Nolita, Chinatown area. So Artistry by Hattie. Amazing, natural, but noticeable lash extensions. And I have really sensitive eyes.
You have your brows done, your liner done, you have lashes, you have your lips done. Do you just wake up looking like this, Christine?
Well, yes, I do. But I have dark circles, so I cover that with concealer.
But like, this is kind of like, to go full circle, this is kind of like why you get why one would get it, right? Like you just wake up and you put on a little concealer and you're ready to go.
Oh my God, yeah. It's like the high maintenance so you could be low maintenance.
That's my MO. You just put it in it's what I always say. But what concealer do you use?
I use NARS Radiant Creamy.
See, guys, she knows her stuff, obviously. You've just like name checked all the top things.
Amazing. I also use Makeup Forever, their press setting powder. It's like the airbrushing effect setting powder. I also use Kosas. Kosas, it's like organic, clean.
No, I know Kosas. Which product do you like from them?
It's called like the foundation BB tint thing.
P.S. Before we go, I'm guessing you don't do permanent foundation or permanent BB cream, right?
Oh my God. Yes, that's
we didn't touch on this, but when I was writing about it, I heard like horror stories.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Hard no from Christine.
No. Okay. So let me qualify that. So there are artists who do skin camouflage tattooing who have really good results. And I feel like they probably dilute the pigment enough to where it's a very loosely applied tattoo that heals evenly. Okay. So if they have a lot of experience, it can be fine for small areas. I would never let my body go near that for larger areas like stretch marks with ink, under eye concealer with tattoo. I mean, I have seen horror stories, and that is because there's such a high percentage of titanium in those beige or skin toned inks. So skin camouflage is very, 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 very tricky. I am also terrified of it aging, like rusting in my skin because it has such a high titanium
like oxidizing
content. Yeah, like it can turn orangey or like brownish, or it can look really, really white because the white inside is showing. And then I've seen people with like white lines and like white splotches because of bad aging. So that's definitely a scary one. And tattooing your entire face, which is the BB Glow tattoo.
Yeah.
That's a lot of ink like on your face. And we don't really know how it ages, like 20, 30, 40 years, right? We don't know what it's going to turn into. And with such a high, what is the term?
Pigment load.
Such a large area.
Yeah.
Getting tattooed, I just feel like, how would you even correct that? And it's really hard removing white tattoos, which essentially like a lot of people will be receiving white in their tattoo ink. So it's just, that's a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah, sorry. Not to interrupt you,
I'm glad we said that before. I didn't even think to ask about it, but.
No, and even body tattoo artists, a lot of them don't even like white tattoos for that reason, because they're scared of how it'll age, how it changes. It doesn't look good on the skin after a while.
Yeah. Okay, before I go, I forgot to warn you about this, but at the end of every interview, we do like a little 5 speed round. It's just like fun questions. So answer whatever first thing comes to your mind. The first question is, what's the first beauty product you ever fell in love with?
Concealer, because I had pimples in high school.
Which brand was it? Was there like a...
I think it was Clinique.
Okay, Clinique concealer.
Yeah, Clinique was popular at that time.
Okay, what's a beauty treatment or service you would never do? Wait, now I feel like it's full face BB Glow.
Yeah, full face BB Glow, hell to the no.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wouldn't try?
Oh my God. Anything that melts your fat content. Like a high risk, maybe like a really deep ultrasound or like a really deep radio frequency that's supposed to like lift your face. Anything that goes really, really deep, I wouldn't do, because I have had clients who have had their faces, like their fat content deplete. So they need a facelift because they've gotten these radio frequency treatments by people who go way too deep and way too strong and literally melts fat from their face. So that I would avoid. I have gotten radio frequency microneedling by Cindy at Dr. Madnani's office. Cindy does my lips, my lip filler. I get a tiny bit of lip filler here. I got it done by Mallory at Madnani Facial Plastics. And the Virtue RF radio frequency, it's really great for like texture and tightening. But I would say like huge claims of like lifting the face or like something that substitutes a facelift, I'm a little bit wary of, and I would rather just get a facelift if I needed it rather than using non-invasive alternatives claiming that they can do a facelift. So I wouldn't do anything like that.
Okay. That was a good answer. Wow. Sometimes people are just like, I wouldn't try this, but you know your stuff. Okay. This one should be easier. What's your favorite snack?
Everything. Chocolate. Also the seaweed snacks. You know, like the dried nori?
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say that probably.
It's all umami. I feel like you like umami. There's chocolate, there's seaweed, okay. What do you need to get your beauty sleep?
Non-stressful clients.
Love it. And last question, if it's your day off and it's like 11 a.m. on your day off, what would you probably be doing?
Reading. I am a bookworm.
What are you reading right now?
The biography of Simón Bolívar, who's the liberator of South America. And I'm also reading Throne of Glass because I'm a little fantasy romance nerd. And I'm also reading Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss because I also like high fantasy.
You can read 3 books at once?
Yeah, like 3, 4, 5. I'm a mood reader, so it depends on my mood.
Oh, a mood reader. I've not heard that. I like that term, a mood reader.
Yeah, so that way, you never want to hate reading. So if you're not in the mood, you have to read something else.
Right. Don't make it feel like homework. It's good advice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Christine, wow, I learned so much. I also have much more research to do because this is such a complicated area. Thank you for simplifying it for us, and thank you for being so open and transparent about what you do. This was great.
Thank you so much. I hope I gave some fun nuggets of information, some golden nuggets for your audience.
We hope you enjoyed the show. It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.